Today we're going to look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie figure line from Neca's job of taking some of pop culture's finest movie characters and recreating them in a 7-inch format of their action figures. But when it comes to these Ninja Turtle figures that Neca released a while back, I would have to say that these are probably the best detailed Neca figures you are ever going to find, and the best screen accurate figures you are ever going to find. These are absolutely perfect in every way. And believe me, I am well aware that that is a bold statement to make, because when it comes to Neca, they really do a fantastic job of capturing the actor's likeness and features perfectly. Some of the characters that instantly spring to mind have got to be the Terminator figures, the Conan figures, the Back to the Future figures, Robocop and Pennywise the Clown. But when it comes to these figures, one of the reasons I'm convinced that they did so well is because they're not actually capturing the likeness of a human face. They're capturing the likeness of Jim Henson's puppets. But when it comes to the Ninja Turtle figures, in all the lines that Neca have ever released, these ones just stand out to me as being one of the best. Now, long before Neca had actually released this movie line, I had always dreamed of having the Ninja Turtles from the movie in an action figure, but there weren't many out there. There was none out there, in fact. That is until Playmates released the Ninja Turtles from the classic 1987 cartoon, and then a few years later they seemed to repaint these figures, give it a different head sculpt and re-release them as the movie figures. And of course I had to buy them, but they weren't fantastic. Even at the time, they were the best that I could get, but they weren't great. So what I'm going to do now is bring that Playmates movie line over, and we're going to compare them with the Neca movie line, and I'm going to do that with a little bit of editing magic. I've never done this before. Oh, it worked. So these are the Playmates Ninja Turtle figures from the 1990 movie, and you can tell straight away that they really don't stand up against the Neca figures. The Neca figures just blow these out of the water. The Neca figures are like at least 10 times better than the Playmates, but that isn't to say that looking at these Playmates now next to the Neca, I can see that Playmates did actually make an effort to make them screen accurate to the best of their ability. But when you're going up against a company like Neca, there is just no substitute. So here we have a close-up look at the Playmates Leonardo next to the Neca Leonardo, and like I said before, there's no comparison. The Neca is absolutely beautiful. The Playmates is kind of lackluster. The paint job on it is terrible, the detail is terrible, the head sculpt is terrible, the weapons are terrible, everything about it is terrible. You see, you can't even hold the weapons for long without dropping them. That is something that all the other figures from Playmates have in common as well. It's very well articulated, but it can also hinder it in some ways. That being said, at the time when they brought this figure out and the rest of the figures, I was actually quite happy with it, because it was the closest we had ever got to the movie line, apart from maybe the older lines from the 90s which were released. I think they were from the Ninja Turtles 2 or the Ninja Turtles 3. These were the closest you would ever get to the Ninja Turtles movie line at the time, and I kind of liked them at the time. But once Neca released these movie figures, these ones can say bye bye. These ones have took the place, and I think anyone will be hard pressed to beat these. Now, if you collect action figures like I do, you'll probably agree with me that sometimes when you buy an action figure, you're not quite happy with it. You find some kind of fault here and there. Not a big fault, not something that ruins your enjoyment of the figure, but it's a fault nonetheless. Maybe that's a paint job, maybe it's a sculpt, maybe it's the articulation of the figure, something with the figure that you're not quite happy with, but on the whole, you do like the figure. With these Neca Turtle figures, I can honestly say there isn't one detail on these figures that I am unhappy with. I think each and every one of these figures is absolutely perfect, and that is a rare thing to find, unless you're looking at a Hot Toys maybe. I think these are fantastic. I think they are the best Ninja Turtle figures out there, and for me, I am so glad to have them in my collection.